All right, guys. I hope everybody's doing well. This is the word of the day. uh, Nexus is a connection or series of connections linking things. Most important point or place. So, an example would be Washington, D.C. is the U.S.'s political nexus. Um, a lot of times you'll also hear nexus in like conspiracy theories. People will talk about this being like the nexus of the conspiracy, where all of the points of the conspiracy kind of conjoin together. Um, so yeah, nexus. Uh, Next up, we got our science fact of the day. This deals with relativity. It's specifically special relativity, and how speed affects uh, your perception of time, and how time actually flows around you. So this is really interesting. But basically, there's a formula you can look at that's right here, and you don't really need to get into it. But look at the little feature right here, v squared over c squared. And then it's 1 minus v squared over c squared. So what that means is that the faster you're moving, the more it affects your time dilation. So if you're moving incredibly fast, time flows differently for you on Earth than it does on, time flows differently on Earth than it does for you, uh, which is kind of a weird thing. You would perceive time passing normally, but people on Earth would perceive you moving much, much, much slower. And it doesn't only affect time, it also affects mass, it affects momentum, it affects the velocity that you're observed with. So these things are kind of interesting, and it's not just some effect that it only takes place like in science fiction. This actually takes place, in when they do calculations for like satellite orbits and things like that. They have to bring this into account in order to make things work here on Earth. The mass thing's really cool, and this is the mass one here explains why you can't go the speed of light. If you look at the formula, if you do v squared over c squared, and v squared is the speed of light, c, you get c squared over c squared, which is 1. Then 1 minus 1 is 0, so you divide it by 0, and you can't divide by 0. And so that's the reason you can't go faster than the speed of light, at least according to our current theories. And this final picture down here is the twin paradox. So the twin paradox is the classic of time dilation, which is that if two twins are on Earth, then they both are the same age, obviously because they're twins. Then one takes off in a spaceship and goes flying off in some direction at a very fast speed for a significant period of time. Then when he comes back, the twin that was flying will be younger than the twin that was on Earth. It's kind of a cool little thing. This is Stanislav Petrov. This is our history fact of the day. Stanislav Petrov was the man who saved the world. Literally, man saved the world. So what he did was he was in charge of the he was in charge of the radar detection for the Soviet Union. And one day he saw a bunch of missiles coming in. And so his first thought wasn't, oh, geez, we better bomb the U.S. His first thought was something's probably screwy with the equipment. And so the message got relayed to Moscow that there was missiles coming in. So they called him to confirm. He was like, no, I'm pretty sure there's just a glitch. Give me a second. So he basically put them off and prevented them from firing retaliatory missiles, which essentially would have ended the world. This man, because of his discretion and his ability to think about whether or not what was happening was actually happening, he basically said he said in the past, or he didn't think the U.S. was stupid enough to have started World War III with nuclear weapons. And for that, we should all be thankful for him, because if he hadn't have done that, there's a good chance, if he'd have been a little bit more trigger happy, there's a good chance we would all be dead. And then finally, book of the day, The Rise and Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Broussat. A lovely book about the dinosaurs from their earliest beginnings till their fall 60 million years ago with the comet that landed in the Yucatan. It's a lovely book if you want to learn about the actual science behind dinosaurs, It's also a lovely book if you want to, recapture that joy you had as a 5-year old from learning about dinosaurs.